Most people think World War III begins with a single flash of light, a nuclear strike that ends everything in seconds. But history and strategy suggest something far more complex and far more terrifying. The first hours would not be explosions you could see from your window. They would be silent outages, flickering screens, bank cards that suddenly stop working, and skies emptied of commercial flights. You would not even know that war had started, only that the systems you depend on are failing one by one. And by the time governments confirm it, the conflict will already be shaping your life in ways you never imagined. This is what the first hours of World War III really look like. Hour 1 begins not with sirens, but with silence. Civilian internet traffic slows to a crawl as global backbones are jammed by cyber strikes. Airports across Europe and Asia announce technical outages, grounding hundreds of flights at once. Banks quietly lock down online services, leaving millions unable to move money or pay for essentials. In government command bunkers, screens glow red. Radar operators report unidentified launches, but no one can yet confirm if they are missiles, decoys, or simply electronic ghosts created by jamming. Leaders hesitate, because in these first hours, every response risks being the wrong one. For civilians, the experience feels like a bad dream. Phone signals drop without warning. News channels contradict each other, and rumors sprint through social media faster than officials can react. One neighbor insists a nuclear strike is minutes away. Another says it is just a cyber attack and will pass. The truth is buried beneath the noise. The first hours of World War III are defined by uncertainty, and in that vacuum, fear becomes the most dangerous weapon of all. In crises of this scale, the human mind seeks anchors. Some people cling to routine, making breakfast as if nothing has changed. Others pace the room, refreshing dead apps, hoping for signals that will not return. Psychologists call this the clash between denial and hypervigilance, two instinctive responses to threat. Denial feels safe. It keeps the heart rate down, but it can cost precious time when decisions matter most. Hypervigilance, on the other hand, can spiral into panic, turning neighbors against one another as every sound, every flicker of light, feels like a warning. History shows that in the early stages of war, ordinary people are less worried about bombs than about losing control over the basics: food, water, communication with loved ones. The brain prioritizes certainty. Without it, trust collapses. And in those first hours of World War III, the battlefield is not only in the skies or cyberspace. It is in the fragile psychology of millions, each struggling to decide, stay calm, or act before it is too late. If you are the kind of person who refuses to be paralyzed by fear and instead wants to understand how the human mind reacts in the first moments of global crisis, then this is your space. Crisis Mindfront is where survival psychology comes first. Subscribe now if you see yourself as someone who does not just watch history unfold, but prepares to stay grounded when it does. Because in the first hours of a world war, clarity of mind will be more valuable than any weapon. By the sixth hour, disruption begins to feel deliberate. Power flickers in major cities, emergency broadcasts cut in and out, and fragments of official statements contradict one another. In some places, military convoys move through the streets under the cover of night, their presence both reassuring and deeply unsettling. Ordinary citizens start making choices in the dark. Some rush to supermarkets, finding shelves already half empty. Others queue at cash machines, only to discover withdrawal limits slashed to near nothing. And everywhere, whispered rumors of nuclear escalation spread faster than food supplies. Meanwhile, in underground command centers, one decision looms. NATO and allied leaders watch satellite feeds showing missile deployments shifting on both sides. The question is whether these are drills, feints, or the first wave of something irreversible. The clock does not stop ticking. Every hour of uncertainty tightens the pressure, pulling the world closer to the threshold it dreads most. In those hours when panic seems inevitable, resilience comes not from pretending the danger isn't real, but from preparing your mind to face it. Studies of crisis psychology show that people who rehearse scenarios in advance, even mentally, feel less paralyzed when reality strikes. Simple steps matter. knowing alternative routes home if public transport fails, keeping a few essentials close by, not as an act of fear but of foresight, deciding in advance whom you would contact first and how if digital networks collapse. These choices reduce the brain's need to scramble under stress. Equally important is emotional regulation, slow breathing, focusing on small, achievable actions, and supporting others nearby all counter the spirals of fear. Communities that talk, share, and plan together experience less breakdown and more cohesion, even in chaos. Owning the crisis does not mean controlling the war itself. It means controlling your response so that you remain human in the face of inhuman pressure. The opening hours of World War III will not look like films or headlines suggest. They will feel like silence, disruption, and creeping uncertainty. Systems you trusted will falter first, long before the first strike is confirmed. And in that vacuum, psychology becomes as decisive as firepower. History teaches us that collapse rarely happens in one dramatic blow. It begins with fractures, with ordinary people caught between denial and panic, with governments hesitating on the edge of decisions that shape the future. The greatest danger in those first hours is not knowing which moment will tip into the irreversible. If this scenario made you think, share it with someone you would want beside you when the world feels unsteady. And subscribe for more psychological breakdowns, where we explore not just the mechanics of crisis, but the tools of resilience. What about you? Do you believe the first hours of a global war would be visible and loud or invisible and quiet until it is already too late?